Welcome back to the next dinner parties after dinner chats. You know, the best conversations, the ones that really stick with you, often happen after the main course is cleared. There's a certain warmth, a comfort that allows for real connection. And it's that feeling that we try to capture here. And today we're in for a particularly interesting discussion with a guest who seems to embody a remarkable blend of structure and soul. Our guest today is Sheetal Thakar, the founder and director of a company called Formagility. Now, on paper, she's an elite architect of corporate change. For over 15 years, she's been the person that major global organizations, and we're talking about institutions like the Bank of England, BP, GlaxoSmithKline, call when they need to transform how they work. She specializes in business agility, helping massive complex teams align and deliver value faster. And we'll hear how she's taken a skeptical group at a gaming company that scaled that process to an enthusiastic group and building on trust and proving value. Now, what drew me to Sheetal's story is what happens when you look beyond the impressive corporate resume. You start to uncover this incredibly rich, multi-layered individual. For instance, you discover that this expert in digital frameworks is also a Cordon Bleu-certified chef. She holds a brown belt in martial arts and once lived in a castle in the south of France. And it's that Cordon Bleu certification that I want to come back to because it feels like the perfect metaphor for our dinner parties. It suggests that someone who understands creating something truly exceptional, whether it's a perfect dish or a high-performing company, requires both a brilliant recipe and a touch of artistry. It requires deep respect for the process and the passion to bring it to life. She is, in every sense, the perfect guest for an after-dinner chat, as we'll learn after a message from our series sponsor, jobsinadtech.com.
This episode is brought to you by jobsinadtech.com, the only jobs board dedicated to digital media and the ad tech industry. If you're hiring now, use promo code JWPOD, JWPOD, for a 10% discount on any package. Jobsinadtech.com, it's where ad techers go to find their next role.
Thanks very much for joining me today, Sheetal. I'd love to jump straight in, if I may.
Of course.
First up, what have you seen in the news this week that's caught your eye?
So I'll be honest with you, this week I've not been checking the news for very good reason. However, one thing that did really get to me was the news a couple of weeks back, which was the Air India crash. And the reason it got to me was it caught my eye, and I think I was hooked on it actually. Just kind of watching the progress and seeing what happened and sort of understanding who the victims were. Turns out I knew someone from Derby. So one of the people that were on the flight was someone that I didn't know him very well, but my mom did. My mom used to cook dinners for him because his wife was still in India. And sad truth around it was that he was just there to pick up his family to bring them back into Derby. But sadly, yeah, he was on the flight. So a bit of a sad start. I'm so sorry. But
yeah. Okay. Do you know what? There has been so many dreadful things happening in the news with individuals and passing away, and then there's been, you see the LinkedIn post where somebody who used to work with somebody and they've just passed on.
So true.
It just goes to show that we've got to make the most of every day we can,
Yes.
and take one step at a time, and also we've got to be careful that we don't we don't pass away too soon either. And the reason I say that is that I put a post up the other day and I asked Gemini to write a quick intro to me and one of the other podcast people. And I had forgot to make a reference to who I am on this particular Gemini piece. And it told me that James Welch, this had been recorded before he passed. I have a namesake who's passed away recently, and I didn't know my namesake, so with respect to his family, but it gave me a bit of an eye opener, going, "Ooh, what does Gemini know that I don't know?" And then I had a look at it, what it was talking about.
Yeah, certainly. Life is short, and we've got to make the most of every single day.
Tell me, what's your business at the moment, and what are you up to in helping people get ripped off less?
Oh, what am I doing helping people get ripped off less? So from a business point of view, I helping people bring and get alignment and charging a lot less than those big consultancies. So that's one way I'm helping people get ripped off less. But actually, I think I'm actually increasing and delivering more value than these big fours would. Sorry if you're working for those big fours, but yeah.
What sort of projects?
So we do planning. So quarterly planning is one of my big areas. So we help companies bring all their businesses, sort of business lines together, but also their technology lines, their security teams, their financial teams, their legal services. We bring everyone together and get them all aligned to the big picture, but also make sure that they're planning that in a way that it cascades back up to the big picture as well. So everyone's delivering to the same heartbeat, so to speak.
And do you do the change management as well on the back of that,
I
and then get into the whole project and go and say, well, actually, we should be doing things this way, and then an ongoing engagement?
Yeah, exactly. So when we're going through that planning process, it reveals itself in many cases what change is required. So it's literally I'm working with teams dynamically, and so if they're struggling with anything in particular, it surfaces quite quickly. So from that point, we then put some recommendations forward to say, for you to be better in the next quarter, here are a whole bunch of things that you could do to be better, really.
And who's the most exciting client that you've been working with, and the biggest change that they've had to undertake reluctantly or willingly?
So the biggest client is actually through another consultancy. So I can't name names, otherwise I'm going to have to kill you. And we promised we're going to keep each other alive, so can't do that. But the company it's like a massive gaming company, and they're working with companies within the UK, but companies in other countries as well. And so there's been a lot of mergers and acquisitions that have happened as well. So they're literally like that. They're clashing a little bit. So through their resistance, we've actually run planning for them. But now they're loving it. So when we started at Q1, there was a lot of toys being thrown out the pram. But as we then entered Q2, there were people going, oh, we want to take part as well. So we actually started to increase the number. So we went from a pilot study of 200 people taking place in planning to then in the second quarter, we planned for 700 people. And then we've just finished the third quarter, which we had, I think, about 1,200 people. So the confidence grew over time. But it's a good thing. So they're loving it now. So they started with hating it and feeling, like, oh, why are we doing this? Is all this extra work that we have to do? To now going, yeah, this is really adding value, and we can really truly see the benefits of planning in this way, because then what's happening is the teams can hit the ground running, they know what they're doing, and there's less intervention in terms of being told what to do and how to do it, etc., etc. So it's a positive thing.
Are they workshops with working with 700 people and your small team? Is that large workshops, or are you interviewing people one-on-one?
So we're doing workshops. So it's in the form of workshops. So there's a 6-week preparation plan that happens prior to the actual big event. So there's a 2-day event, but there's some preparation work that happens in the background. And that means like spending some time with leadership and letting them know that, sharing some templates with them and saying, okay, if you complete these templates, you're going to be able to give your people a clear vision of the work that you're expecting and what your objectives are, what are your goals. But at the same time, we also ask them to look at their risks and what the impact might be if something gets delivered versus if it doesn't get delivered, what's the impact? So it's almost like creating transparency. So through these templates, what we're doing with the leadership is creating a level of transparency as to what their expectations are. Then we work with the middle management. So we work with the product teams, the technology teams, and legal, compliance, etc., to find out what their priorities are, and we get them to prioritize as well. And with that, we also make sure that it connects back to what the leadership are asking for. So we're creating the transparency beforehand. And then when we go into the planning, we're then inviting teams to present what the ideas are, what the plans are, and what the big picture is. And then using a 2-day event with individual teams to say, okay, you know what the plans are. We've communicated those plans because you've just been told about it this morning. It's no surprises, so they're all part of the run-up to the event anyway. Now you go away and plan for 90 days. So see what you can fit in to those 90-day windows. But not only that, as you're going through your plans, decide what your risks are. So your risks going to surface as you're going through your plan. So capture those. If you've got any dependencies with your teams, capture that, and then open up conversations with the other team where you're depending on them to do some work. Let's open up conversations there, and let's open those communication channels basically, and then put a plan in place. Communicate that back to your management and leadership as well, and make sure that everyone's happy. So it's bringing everyone together, getting everyone to make sure they're on the same page, but also having consideration for technology needs, compliance needs, and any other kind of needs that are coming into play. So recruitment also comes into play here. So in some cases, a realization comes up that, oh, we need more expertise. We haven't got the expertise to do X, Y, Z, in which case a recruitment requirement comes up. So we've probably got someone from recruitment sitting there listening as well. In another case, we might have security also listening in to these plans and these objectives, and then making a decision as to whether they need to intervene early or not. So it's just essentially the idea is bringing alignment across the organization and doing it in a massive way.
Did they make any cooler games on the back of it? That's the real thing.
Yes, yeah, they speed up. They speed up, and I think last year there was the announcement last year of how much profits they were making, and that had actually increased. So they're delivering faster, which is really good news.
Awesome. And so your 2-day workshop is directly responsible for all the growth over the last 5 years. No, I'll stop there.
Yeah, exactly.
Really interesting. I love just catching up with people and hearing a little bit more about what they're doing and what how their days shape up. The next part, I wanted to just launch into what I call the high five. So what I'd love to do is just ask you 5 quick questions, if I may.
Okay.
Who's your hero in context of ripped off less?
So my hero in context of ripped off less is actually an app founder for the fork. I actually don't know who the founder is. If you're listening in, let me know, because I'm really, really grateful for you creating this app. I think it started in France actually. Because what it offers is 50% discount on really nice restaurants. So you can go to a really lovely restaurant, but you're not paying full price, you're paying half the price. And that's one way of getting ripped off less, basically.
I love it. And do you know what? I know of it, but I've never used it. So I think that's a note to self: download the fork.
Yes,
your best decision.
Sure.
What's your best decision to date?
Best decision. I think starting my company. So that's one of my best decisions, because I've learned so much about being an entrepreneur, and I also understand the highs and lows of what it really takes to start a company as well. So from that angle, I've learned an incredible amount of stuff, but also I think over the time that I've been working on it, I think I've built up a level of resilience that I never thought I had. And so, yeah, you're asking yourself a lot of questions. You are responsible, and to some degree, I'm being really vulnerable by putting myself out there. But I'm less afraid now. So I think when I first started, I think I was absolutely very nervous about getting myself out there. I'm trying not to swear here, but yeah, I was scared. But once you get out there, once you put yourself in that position and go, yes, this is me, this is what I want to do, this is how I'm going to take things forward. It may or may not work. I am still working on it. There's a lot of things I still need to do and learn and overcome before I've actually I've made it. But I think that was a good decision. So that was one. I've got another one as well.
Go on.
So the other decision was to get a kitten. So we've got not one, but 2. And I think that was the best decision, because getting one, I think we'd probably get bored by not being able to give them all the time they need. But now by having 2, they can entertain themselves to some degree, and they're hilarious to watch, and they're really funny, and they keep the mood light, which I love.
Awesome. Well, don't tell my little boy, because he's very keen for us to get a kitten. I said, well, if we can swap the kitten for the dog, because we've got a dog, and it's just I'm the only one who walks him. I was like, that's just not fair. Come on, everybody else.
Yeah.
My wife, I'm sure, wouldn't agree with that. I'm the only one who walks him. Your worst decision?
My worst decision, That was a hard one because I don't know of one, to be honest. My worst decision.
But that's wonderful. That's
Yes,
wonderful. You
no,
don't think you've got them.
no, I
Go on.
I do have one. So my worst decision was actually thinking that when I launch my company, I will start getting clients straight away. So one, I made a really bad assumption there because it doesn't work like that. The decision I made was to go large, and I launched at the business show in Excel the first day, and I spent a lot of money putting it all together, buying the merchandise, making it look really slick, and also, just trying to get that traction. The reason I felt like that was the worst decision was because I was not actually ready for what happened next, which was the number of phone calls that you have to make and then have the phone slam down on you because you're then trying to sell your services to the same people who are really lovely at the show. So it was quite a big learning curve that I would say to anybody, if you're thinking about going into an exhibition, don't do it early. Do it when you know that you've got the collateral and the team behind you to do the right things, to make sure that you've got the person who knows how to make sales phone calls, for one. I was a bit clueless at the time. I can do it now, but at the time, I don't think I was ready.
Yeah, it's grueling. You have to have water off a duck's back kind of approach to it. Otherwise, it's going to be soul destroying when people are just not interested in the telesales role is always a difficult thing. One of my colleagues started her career out in telesales, and she always says that's why she's got such a great. And you can hear her smiling on the phone call when you're chatting. Why are you always so happy on a phone call? She goes, because it's what I've learned to do. You always just have to come across as enthusiastic on the calls. My next question is your funniest moment.
Oh gosh,
I'm bracing myself for this one.
Oh God. Okay, so my funniest moment is actually there was a time I went to the Edinburgh Fringe. I think this was 2019 or something like that, and we decided to go with five of our friends. Now, I did not pick the shows at all. I was the one that said, "Okay, you know what? You guys pick the shows. You know what you want. You know what you're doing." And so my friend shows up with a whole ream of tickets, like literally around his neck. He could wear it as a necklace, literally head to toe. So we had back-to-back shows. One of the shows, one of my friends who came along was particularly keen on watching, and it was a Vietnamese show, and he's Vietnamese, so he was very, very keen to watch it. I forget the name, but I never forget the moment. So we went in, and I put pressure on him, actually. I said, you know what, Fee, this better be good. So, because you've picked this is all on you now, so pressure's on. And the lights go down, the show begins. And next thing you know, there's a naked man rocks up onto the stage, completely naked, stark naked. And I'm like, okay. And then a naked woman rocks up onto the stage. Now, I look to my left and I can see they're laughing. I look to my right and I can see that my other friends are also laughing and they're trying not to make noise. That still today, it gave me the giggle fits. I could not stop. And
so everyone is there for this wonderful art installation, and you've got the giggles in the middle. Was the auditorium quiet apart from you?
It was very quiet to the point there was a
wonderful scene.
And next thing you know, there's about 7 of them, all of them naked. And they're running around the stage, and that makes it worse for me. So,
was there a story or a reason for the nudity, or was it just art for art's sake?
I think I have no clue. I think it was art. I don't know what the storyline actually.
There was a great storyline.
But I was told to shush because everyone else was super, super quiet. So that made it worse.
Once you've got the giggles. Yes, I can see how that would just perpetuate through. My last question is, if I may, one more person. I'm going to ask you to recommend one more person who would be great for the podcast. But of course, to come to a podcast, you then have to come to a dinner first. Your thoughts?
So I've got a few names, but the name that really does come to mind is somebody I've met recently. Her name's Alison James, and she's just started a bit of a curious journey in the agile space, in the agile and leadership space. And I just think she's such a wonderful person, and she's got this lovely energy about her. So one, I would definitely recommend for her to join at the dinner.
Awesome.
Two, I think you guys would really get on with her as well.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to the introduction, if I may. Thanks so much for coming on today, and really love to catch up with you.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me.